So good morning. My name is Douglas Williams, and I'm a special agent in charge of the FBI here in Houston. I'm joined by our partner, Chief Noe Diaz of the Houston Police Department, as well as investigators from our respective agencies. Before I get into why we're here today, let me first publicly express my condolences and those of the entire FBI Houston family to Precinct 4 Deputy Constable Meher Husani and his family, friends, and colleagues, and the entire Precinct 4 Constable's office for their loss yesterday. We're here today at Cullen Park in West Harris County this morning to announce that the FBI Houston is launching a federal civil rights investigation into former Houston Park Ranger Joey Lamar Ellis. And we are seeking to identify anyone who may have been a victim of his. We're also hoping to hear from witnesses or anyone who may have information about Mr. Ellis's alleged crimes. Mr. Ellis started as a City of Houston Park Ranger in 2019 and was arrested in June by the Houston Police Department. He has since been charged by the Harris County District Attorney's Office with 2 counts of official oppression and an enhanced charge of sexual assault. Today, we are asking anyone who believes they may have been a victim of Joey Lamar Ellis, or anyone who has information about potential crimes he committed as a park ranger, to please report it to the FBI via an electronic form that can be accessed at fbi.gov/Ellis victims. Again, the website is fbi.gov/Ellis victims. We believe Mr. Ellis has used his official position as a park ranger to make victims believe he was acting in a law enforcement capacity when he allegedly forced them to pay him money and or sexually assaulted them in exchange for their ability to leave the park. The FBI also believes Mr. Ellis may have potentially targeted members of the LGBTQIA plus community, and there may have been more victims who have yet to come forward due to embarrassment, fear, or shame. Under the federal statute, color of law violations occur when any government official, law enforcement, elected officials, or civilians assert the power bestowed upon them by their government entity they serve, and in this case, the City of Houston, to deprive any person or of any right protected by the Constitution or the laws of the United States. As I mentioned earlier, Ellis began working as a park ranger in 2019 and could potentially have victims spanning from 2019 to present. We know he worked here in Cullen Park. He also worked in Memorial Park and Cleveland Park. So if you or someone you know was extorted or sexually assaulted by Ellis, or have information which may be relevant to this investigation, we ask that you please go to fbi.gov/Ellis victims and fill out the short form that will come to us here at FBI Houston. So with that, I will now turn it over to HPD Chief Diaz. Sir.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you to our media partners for coming out today and reporting this alarming investigation. The suspect here in this case was targeting people inside the park. He wore a uniform. To be clear, he was not. It was not a police uniform. There was no badge. It's essentially a shirt with patches. During his time here, he would come into the park with his vehicle, and he would essentially lock people in with their vehicles, and he'd approach them. From there, then he would start soliciting, engage with them that they had broken some sort of law, there was a violation of law, which there wasn't, and then he would solicit money from them, sometimes asking the victims to pay via Venmo or other electronic means, and essentially robbing them of monies. threatening them to tow their vehicles or actually putting them in jail. So the Houston Police Department did a fantastic job. The call came in through our vice initially, and then it went into major offenders. And this young man behind me, Mr. Cheney, he did an amazing job putting this all together. He did all the heavy lifting, so I'm very proud of him working for the Houston Police Department. He did an amazing job with this investigation. It's an alarming case, like I said earlier, because it breaks the public trust. So my messaging to the community is to make sure that when you engage with someone in some sort of uniform, that you ask for an identification card to make sure that they are who they say they are. Call the police department, dial 911 if you don't feel that the person that you're engaging with is actually a police officer, to make sure that you're safe, your family is safe. This should never have happened. I'm sorry for the victims what they went through. There are several victims, and today's press conference is to hopefully address any others that because of shame or embarrassment don't want to come out. They can do it anonymously, go through the FBI webpage and make sure that they get their information so we can do the very best job that we can in prosecuting or providing the information for a good prosecution so that this doesn't happen again, and that the suspect gets his day in court, and we provide justice and a little bit of closure for the community and the victims. That's all I got. I'll take a couple of questions.
About how many victims are you aware of?
There's several, over 5, I'll say that. So the numbers will vary, but that's where we're at, over 5.
Does anything about a civil rights investigation on the federal side change anything about the prosecution on the district court side? Are you guys taking it over, or those charges?
Doug?
No, we're not taking it over, and it won't change anything on the state side. This will be in addition to. There are significant penalties on the federal side for civil rights violations, specifically color of law violations. So that's our angle to this here, that if we're able to make this case, that it will have some strong federal penalties to it, in addition to the state penalties that may come from that case.
A ese momento les voy a decir que tenemos arriba de 5 personas que fueron víctimas. Por eso tenemos hoy este anuncio para que ustedes puedan ayudarnos. Si hay diferentes víctimas, que se comuniquen con la FBI. En la pantalla yo creo va a tener donde se comuniquen, pero para nosotros es algo importante. Es importante para nosotros darles la información para si acaso hay otras víctimas para que lo reporten.
¿Qué darían un pattern en esta conducta de este hombre? Víctimas, tal vez, ya sabemos que eran víctimas de la comunidad LGBT, pero ¿había algo más en referencia a las víctimas?
Todos eran hombres y todos eran de noche. Y él, en el proceso de él de patrullero, de encargado del parque en la noche, de asegurar los portones de los parques, si él encontraba un carro parqueado, o sea, estaba alguien aquí haciendo ejercicio, estaba solo, él se les arrimaba dándoles...
¿Les pedía algo?
Les pedía dinero, los asustaba que los iba a arrestar, o les iba con una grúa a llevarse el carro de ellos, si no les pagaban. Los dineros que mencioné en inglés fueron pagados por comunicación electrónicas para salvarse de no ser arrestado. Les quitaba la identificación a veces, él se portaba como una policía de oficial, pero nunca era policía o oficial.
Do we have any sense of the timeline here? Do we know in his, 3 years of employment, how long he was abusing his position and how these alleged crimes come to light sooner?
We don't, right? So we rely on the victims. So he began his employment in 2019, and he was arrested not long ago. So for us, that's why we're here. That's the basis of this press conference. So if there are other victims that didn't have an avenue to report it, now there is. They can get onto the FBI website and make sure that they can come out and address it, so that we can produce the very best investigation for prosecution later at the district attorney's office.
You talked about people potentially being like after that email is sent? What would happen?
Yeah, so once the person submits the information, there'll be an agent, the case agent who's handling the case will reach out and talk to them. And we have victim services that we offer to help folks, victims of these crimes, that we would like to help give to them. And then we can, take their information, as the chief said. This is really about building a strong case, but more importantly, it's about helping the victims. So to identify the victims and get them the resources that they need to help them through this tragic, terrible time in their life.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you for
guys.
coming.
Thank you. Thanks for
Appreciate it.
coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So the link is live. It's also posted on our social media accounts at FBI Houston on